Hi, I'm Stéphane Farou, and this is the fourth installment in my video overview of my book, Getting the Message Across: How to Use Presentation Software such as PowerPoint to Give Interesting Technical Presentations. Chapter 4 is entitled Editing Images and illustrates how you can use images in your presentations, as well as how to modify them with the free program GIMP to make them suitable for a presentation. In the book, I illustrate it with pictures of the first working mechanical calculator, first built in 1642. In this video, I'll show you a number of options using pictures of a later calculator that I took in one of the really great museums in the world, the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, Austria, and more specifically in a subsection called the Kunstkammer. One of the exhibits is a 1727 calculator built by a clockmaker called Anton Braun. This calculator is dedicated to the then Habsburg Emperor, Charles VI, and according to the explanatory label, was primarily used for land surveying calculations. I took two pictures with a smartphone, and they aren't high-quality pictures. The calculator was in a glass showcase, which means reflections. The second picture is blurred, but that's usually something you only discover when you are back home. So, in a kind of history of computing devices, how could I present my only acceptable picture? I have seen many people present something like this. This is a very dull way to present a picture. The borders are distracting. Remember that we are automatically attracted by contrast, and we are adding here contrast that takes attention away from what we are presenting. There are two solutions. The first one, if the resolution is high enough, is to make the picture cover the whole slide surface, from edge to edge. It will probably require moving the text around and changing its color for better legibility. The second option is to remove the background. Some versions of PowerPoint have a built-in tool for that, but it works better on logos and images with a very strong contrast between foreground and background. With most photographs, it's better done with an editing program such as GIMP, and I explain how to do it in the book. We can even remove the original shadow and replace it with a shadow added by PowerPoint. Picture without a background can be more easily scaled if you want, for instance, to present several antique mechanical calculators on the same slide. We have, however, one problem which happens frequently with this particular picture. I didn't frame it carefully enough, and I cut one of the feet. It was hardly noticeable when the image was edge to edge because this straight line was matching the bottom edge of the slide. It's far more visible when I no longer line the picture with the edges. One option is to soften the bottom part of the picture, which is a technique I also explain in the book, and it can be done in a matter of seconds. It works so-so in that case, but I use it frequently with portraits. I couldn't find a portrait of Anton Braun, but this is Emperor Charles VI, whose name is engraved on the calculator. We have the same problem as before of a dull rectangle with strong contrasting lines. We can improve it by removing angles, which softens the image. Or we can remove the background, which leaves visually shocking straight lines, and soften the bottom part so as to turn it into a kind of vignette. This enables us to give to the portrait the size we want, and to place it wherever we want, even across the edge of the slide. Now there is another option for the missing part of the calculator foot: copying bits from the feet we see fully, and recreating the missing part. That's also something you can do relatively easily with GIMP by copying, pasting, flipping, and using a few tools for smoothing the image. Now, what about the other picture, the blurred one? Can't we use it in a way or another? I have always seen the advice, only use high-quality pictures, but this is easier said than done. In a few cases, the only image free of rights that I could find was either of low quality or at a low resolution, and when you were scaling it up, it was becoming very pixelated. The truth is that there are cases when the real choice is between a mediocre picture and a picture at all. Programs such as GIMP and some versions of PowerPoint include tools called filters that modify an image. Such a filter is the sharpening filter, which may improve a slightly blurred picture such as this one. However, it won't help on a pixelated picture, and there is another GIMP filter that I like very much, which is called Oilify. This filter blurs neighboring colored pixels and gives an appearance of oil painting. It won't make the image any more precise, but it dishonestly suggests that the lack of detail is an aesthetic choice rather than a technical constraint. It may save a poor picture. The other option is to keep the image small enough so that it still looks okay, even when projected on a large screen. However, instead of keeping it as a dull rectangle, use the image formatting options to add a white margin suggesting a paper photograph, and tilt it slightly so as to suggest a photograph that was casually dropped there. This is something that works very well when you have several pictures, none of which is very good, and it requires very little work. These are some options that may help make your presentation more attractive from a visual standpoint and keep the interest of your audience.